pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lorraine, if you could please call the roll. Linda Avanzado. Here. John Buscardin.
Here.
Larry Cerisi.
Here.
Cheryl Clarkin. Here. Robert Jones.
Here.
William Munch. Kimberly Page. Here. Julia Held. Here. Kelsey Campbell. Here. Thank you.
Lorraine, could you please do the calendars next?
April 30th, 3:30 p.m. Wellness Committee meeting, North Kingstown High School Media Center. May 6th, 8:30 a.m. Policy Subcommittee meeting, Central Administration Building. May 13th, 7 p.m. School Committee Work Session, North Kingstown High School Cafeteria. May 13th also, 3 p.m. Statewide Community Schools Forum, followed by a 20th anniversary celebration of the Cozy Network from 5 to 6:30 p.m. at New England Tech. May 27th, 7 p.m. School Committee Business Meeting, North Kingstown High School Cafeteria. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to recognitions and presentations. I know we have our two students here from the robotics team. I think that at 7:30 our other presentation will be here, and so we'll do that when she walks in. So, school committee.
For all the team.
Oh, the medals, yeah.
People weren't here.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Katie Johnson and Matt Cirillo. We are going to honor this evening. Katie and Matt are students at North Kingstown High School, and while North Kingstown High School currently does not have a robotics team, that is something we look to change very soon with our new engineering and robotics program that is growing by the minute. Katie and Matt are part of our program that is a team that participated at Bryant University as part of the first challenge, and you can tell us a little bit about what that is, through a team that's organized by the Naval Underwater War College, correct? And I'm going to leave it to you to talk a little bit more about some of the details on that. I want to stay away from this because we can get feedback.
So First Robotics is a program that promotes, among other things, STEM. Science, technology, and engineering, and mathematics in today's youngsters. And FIRST actually stands for Inspiration and Recognition of Science and Technology. The whole point of the program is to get kids excited and willing to learn about science and technology so we can be tomorrow's engineers, as the organization loves to say.
We're part of 78 Airstrike, which we, as Dr. Auger said, we made on Newark, which is on the naval base. We're kind of like all from around Rhode Island, and we actually have students from Mass that join the team too. It varies, like there's so many kids on the team. We all kind of look at each other as a family more than friends. We actually just got back from the World Championship in St. Louis.
We competed. Yeah, we won a regional and then the chairman's award at the district competition and then the regional competition. District award, the chairman's award celebrates sort of an all-around team, not just good at building a robot, but good at being an organization good for the community, like doing service projects or bake sales, that kind of thing. The robot actually does different things every year. When I first joined 3 years ago, it had to, what did it do 3 years ago? Basketballs. It had to take mini foam basketballs and put them through a variety of hoops to score points. But last year, it had to pick up frisbees, which was a challenge. But this year, it had to fling entire exercise balls, which was very difficult. But everyone did it, and it was fun.
We wave in the air when they're up competing.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Team button for each of you.
Wow. Well, thank you. Like I said, through the efforts that are happening here at North Kingstown High School, we are well on our way to establishing a career and technical program here at North Kingstown High School in engineering and robotics. And we hope that in the next few years we're going to have a North Kingstown High School team participate in this very event. So congratulations to both of you. It's a great job.
All right, as I said, I anticipate that Sarah Andrews will be here at 7:30. I did receive from Louise Danette. She told me that the Wickford Art Show that they have that runs May 2nd through the 25th. There are 7 Quinescent students that are in it. Grace Carrillo from kindergarten, Julia Bellucci from first grade, Sophia Glaude from second grade, Noah Goudreau and Annika Arison from third grade, Emma Massey from fourth grade, and Laura N. Pilkington from fifth grade. So they've all made the Wickford Art Show, and they're very excited about that. Dr. Jicd, do you want to?
Citizens' comments first.
We have recognitions and presentations. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
I can do the superintendent's report.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so that brings us next to citizens' comments.
No one signed up on the sheet tonight.
All right. Yep. All right, so that brings us to superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. I have a few things for my report tonight. First, I sent this out via email to as much of the community as I could get to, including the media, so hopefully it will be in the papers as well. But I'm pleased to announce that North Kingstown High School was once again recognized by U.S. News and World Report. I'm not sure why or if they even do this every year or not. It seems to kind of come in waves, but this has happened twice before at North Kingstown High School. This year, North Kingstown High School was listed as getting a silver medal school status, one of U.S. News and World Report's best high schools. It was one of 5 in Rhode Island to receive this award and ranked number 3 in Rhode Island according to their rankings. Their rankings are a little different from a lot of the different rankings that you see in the papers for various things. They seem to highlight student achievement, particularly as it is measured with advanced placement coursework, both participated in and passed, and also looking at the socioeconomic status of the student body, so that this part of their study is to see that students who are economically advantaged and economically not so well advantaged are also doing well. So that's a wonderful thing, speaks very strongly of the North Kingstown School Department, both for our, kids with advantages and kids without. And that's through the entire system, because they all end up at North Kingstown High School, and that's where this is being measured. So congratulations to all involved, from administrators and teachers and support staff and parents and students themselves, for the great work that they're doing and the high expectations that we have for our students. Second item under my report is that I just want to acknowledge Ashley Longton from Forest Park Elementary. She is a special educator. Is Ashley here tonight by any chance? Well, all right. Well, her mom would know this, that she has been recognized by the Slocum Grange as their Teacher of the Year this year. So congratulations to Ashley. That is it's not necessarily anything to do with the North Kingstown School Department in terms of, who we recommend to them. They go through the recommendation process themselves, and something about Ashley certainly caught their eye. They say she's very enthusiastic, goes above and beyond, and is involved in a lot of community projects and so on and so forth. So they're very proud of her, and so are we. So congratulations to Ashley. Okay, I got two more quick items. One is I want to recognize a longtime maintenance worker, started here in 1998. He is retiring this week, Lou Calderon. And I want to thank him for his years of service to the North Kingstown School Department. My next item is that I am pleased tonight on the agenda. It's in the consent agenda, so it may be something that doesn't necessarily get pulled. But I just want to make sure that I acknowledge that tonight in the audience is Dr. Barbara Morse. And Dr. Morse is being recommended tonight to be the next assistant principal for student services at North Kingstown High School. As many of you in the audience know, Dr. Morse has been working as a teacher in North Kingstown since 1997, has served as our math department chair for the past 10 years, and was named North Kingstown and Rhode Island Teacher of the Year in 2006. She has an exemplary record of leadership and service to the North Kingstown school community, not only at the high school, but at every school, especially in her work as a class advisor for the high school, as the 2013 NEAS chair, and in her work to lead professional development around math instruction around the district, common assessment training, and technology integration, amongst other things. She is a real class act and has done a great service to this community in her years here, and I am pleased to be forwarding her name as our next assistant principal at North Kingstown High School. So when that comes up, you'll know what's happening. Thank you.
Would the committee like to move that up to the front and approve 4E1 now?
So moved.
Okay. So, so that brings us by, Larry has made the motion to bring that up to approve 4E1. There's a second from Linda. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Congratulations, Dr. Morris. All right.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us into,
Pulling that off for tonight.
the other thing before we get into, well, first let's go through okay, we're into routine items. No, she's not here. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
No. So our attorney has asked that we table E7. Do I have a motion to table E7?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that has been tabled for this evening. All right, that brings us to executive session items. Lorraine, do we have any votes we need to disclose?
No votes tonight, no.
All right.
We just need a motion to seal them.
Do I have a motion to seal the executive session minutes?
So
Second.
moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right, is there anything to exempt from the agenda here tonight? From the consent agenda? Mr. Busgarden.
I'd like to exempt D1 for discussion.
Is there anything else? Do I have a motion to approve? Oh, Mr. Cerisi?
I'm sorry, E2?
Is there anything else to exempt? Mr. Jones?
Yes, E4, please.
Is there anything else to exempt? I'm looking for a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay. So the first thing that comes up then, Mr. Buskirden, is D1.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Page. Ms. King and I have had a bit of discussion about the doors at DMS. In fact, I was able to go and look at the doors myself, along with Mr. Tremblay. And I just wanted to, and let me back up. I understand that, in fact, Ms. Carroll, for the record, could you read that?
Yes,
Would you-
according to the town charter and according to chapter 4555(9) of the Rhode Island General Laws, any construction project that is less than $10,000 does not have to go up to bid.
Okay. So I just wanted that to be on the record, so there was no second guessing down the road that Mr. King was trying to do something that wasn't following the rules. And of course, from what I know her, she would never do that intentionally. But my point of bringing this up and want to discuss it was, my only question was, Ms. King, that it appears to me, from when I saw those doors, that my only question was when Stanley put the new closers on the doors, and I apologize for not having talked to you about this beforehand. Why did they not mention that they were in such poor condition that those closers probably would not work? I mean, it just, you know what I mean? It just seems to me that that some of the doors kind of close, almost close, and for walking by, you would think they were closed, but they don't close in the pure sense of what an automatic door is supposed to do. They don't latch. But some of them don't even, they hit, and they don't even, they hit the frame, and they don't even close. You don't even go inside the frame. I'm wondering why they didn't mention this, or was this mentioned to you when they put them on?
Well, it's a good question, and I think that, if you look at the condition of a lot of the doors at Davisville Middle School, I think you'll agree that we have some issues, that there are some of the doors that we're going to have to look to replace. I think these 11 that really popped out, they really did work on trying to make the adjustment to make them work. So this really isn't, it's not that Stanley did something wrong or anyone did anything wrong. They have been working to try to make these doors, because like you said, some of them kind of almost shut. They've been making adjustments. They've been doing this and that. And it's just really popped out that these 11 doors aren't going to work. They're just not going to make it. We do need to replace them. So, they really are instructed with what we had to ask them to do. I know $6.4 million is a real lot of money, but unfortunately, spreading it out over 5 schools, it just didn't go as far as we wanted it to, and these doors are popping out as something we need to try to take care of on our own. So I think that's a very good question, but I wouldn't say that it was Stanley's issue. They did try to work with us and try to make them work, because that's what we were trying to do. Mm-hmm. They just aren't going to make it.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Ms. Page. I thank John for putting that, and Mary Ann for reading that. That was one of my questions, so thank you for clarifying that. My concern is not so much the doors or the proposed bid. It's simply, this is one now of potentially 3, maybe more work efforts from fund balance. Back in when we did the tennis courts a while ago, for about the same amount of money as this, we had a conversation about identifying what's a priority. And my only concern is simply is how this sort of racks and stacks with the other things that we want to do from fund balance, and maybe to get an assessment from the administration of where we stand operationally, and, what options we have to trade off stuff within the existing FY14 budget before we go ahead and do this. And there may not be a good choice, but I think we should have choices to make as opposed to just automatically dipping into fund balance.
First of all, Mr. Jones, I understand that, but I can tell you that things are going to pop up that we might not be on our radar at any particular time. So that's the first thing. We try to capture everything we can to bring forward and try to have contingencies for it, but it's just not possible with 11 buildings that are in advanced stages of age to be able to do that. Secondly, I will be very honest with you. If I had what I thought was money in the general fund, I would have already done these doors, because I think that they're of a critical nature and they need to be done. I think they could have been done on an emergency basis. There is no funding in the FY14 budget to move from anywhere else. We made a decision back when we approved the teacher's contract, and we made decisions on that for unbudgeted funds, and we're going to have to try to adjust for that. And anything else that was not particularly budgeted, especially at this late stage in the game of the FY14 budget, there's no money to be moved around.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve D1?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
I would just like to say, I'm sorry, I would just like to comment on one thing, and this goes back to some correspondence that you and I had, Mrs. King, that I just wanted to thank Columbus Door Company. I don't know them, but based on what you said, it sounds like they pretty much go above and beyond the call of duty to help the school district out. And based on what you said, how they've reacted to some of your less than, less than normal requests, one-offs and emergencies, or even if they weren't an emergency, they treated it as if it was an emergency. And I'd just like to thank them for that, because it's tough to find vendors that go out of their way the way you described them.
They're a very good vendor. Mr. Simeone is the coach of the championship girls basketball team. I've always found him to be reasonable. He's also told us you don't need to do that, on certain things. So they are a very loyal vendor to us. We also know that they are a low vendor on our locksmith services as well, and that was a formally bid RFP. So you're right. They are a very loyal vendor. We're very lucky to have them.
Anything else? All right. There's a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, that brings us to approval of appointment. Mr. Cerisi, E2.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question on, is this a existing position that we are filling?
I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, Mr. Cerisi. Can you tell me what that is? I'm sorry, I don't have my packet.
The 3.5-hour clerk position at Hamilton Elementary School?
Yes, that's to replace someone who moved over to Davisville Middle School.
Okay.
So it's a replacement of an existing position.
Okay. It's separate and apart from the clerk positions that we discussed that would go into effect July 1st.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Motion to approve, is it E2?
Second.
E2, yep.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Buscardin.
I'd just like to follow Mr. Cerisi's questioning another step. The first bit that we're approving is to fill a position because somebody moved. Is that right?
Yes.
So that position that the person that's moved is filling was created because...
There were 2 retirements at Davisville Middle School.
This is It's a pure replacement. This isn't...
Absolutely. One for one, no addition or anything.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to clear that up. All right. Thank you.
Are there any further questions? All right. Motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right. That brings us, I just saw our Rhode Island Interscholastic Athlete of the Year walk in. so I don't know.
I'll be quick on E4.
Okay, then let's get
So-
into E4.
Yes, thank you. I have no objection to the recommendation. I would simply like to, this is one of those areas that it would be nice sort of to get a stand. I know Mr. Buscardin, and we talked about, enrollments and stuff earlier. I would like to make a motion to approve E4 with the contingency that at some point at the end of August or early September, we get either a presentation or summary of the sports camp enrollment, revenues, and expenses that go along with that.
Absolutely.
Second that motion. All right, is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, so let's jump back here, folks, to presentations and recognitions. Sarah Andrews.
Chelsea just told me, because I asked her.
This is Sarah Andrews, everyone, and Sarah has the honor of being named the Rhode Island Interscholastic League Burger King Athlete of the Year. Congratulations. I can understand the Gatorade Award, but I'm not sure I'm seeing the connection with Burger King. Is that a place that you ate at often in training? I would imagine not. Tell us a little bit about how things have been going.
Things are going really well. I play soccer and I swim school teams. And in October, I won Rhode Island Student Athlete of the Month. And then from all the Student Athlete of the Month winners, back in a banquet 2 or 3 weeks ago, they selected a male and a female winner for the whole year. And I was selected along with Andrew Miner from East Greenwich High School.
Right, well, congratulations. We are very proud of you.
I know Sarah had come right from practice. She, her mom had called Lorraine the other day to ask if it was okay to come right from practice for the school committee meeting, and I said, oh yeah, that was no problem whatsoever. That we were not so formal that required anything more. I do want to say under recognitions that, because I forgot to say this earlier, that our own Chelsea Campbell has been given a Civic Leadership Award, which from the state of Rhode Island, which she will receive from their Secretary of State. The ceremony is on Friday at the State House, and that's when she will be going up there to receive it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
There you go.
All right. So I believe that was the end of the consent agenda, and that brings us down to unfinished business. All right. And the first thing we have on our list under policy is the Jicd restraint policy. What this is not really any change to the policy, but we're changing the form that we use that is added at the end. I believe this is a statutory form, so we just wanted to update it to make sure that our policy reflects the reporting form that needs to be there. So do I have a motion on JICD?
So moved.
Linda. Mrs. Avanzato.
Well, I think I seconded. Larry made the motion. But, yeah, quick question. In our packet is a different policy. Is that just a mix-up or? because JIH interrogations and searches is in our, that's not on the agenda tonight, right? Or maybe it's just me. Am I in the wrong?
I'm seeing JICD 2. I'm not sure.
In the electronic packet I have,
Yeah, that's what I just pulled up.
page 31.
I don't have it according to page numbers.
Okay. All right, well, as long as we're not voting on it, I'm fine. I just want to make sure we're not voting
No,
on that
we
one.
weren't
Last
gonna be-
week's packet, maybe, that you're in?
Possibly. What are you not voting? Let's just see. I don't think so, though, because I just looked at something we just voted on. All right, just want to make sure we're not voting on that.
Come on, Linda, get the program.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. The second policy we have in our packet for this week is an update to the school volunteers. This was something that came before us by Jen Gormley, who is head of Links, and we worked closely with her and Tara Chase to make sure that our school volunteers policy not only meets state law, but also is something that we're able to practically to take care of and make sure our students are safe and we have people who are volunteers. So are there any questions on the revisions? Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I think I talked to a couple of you. My only concern is that I understand the focus is on where the bulk of the volunteers come from, but situations where volunteers, like, for example, sports teams, I know obviously the volunteer coaches go through the coaching approval process, but the other volunteers, the non-coaching volunteers who sometimes support sports and maybe others that I haven't thought of efforts, I think that should be somehow captured in the policy of whether that's through the AD, through the building administrator, or something equivalent, but just to reflect those kinds of volunteers as well.
What I think they are included on there, they're school volunteers, so they would have to be approved. They would have to have the BCI check just like everybody else.
Right, except my concern was, it talks about, I'll go back up.
My concern was on the wording. Well, my concern was somewhat in the vague that focuses on the PTO and links. You know, I would like to see a little more specific wording when it comes to sports teams about the role of the athletic director. You know, if the committee feels that the sort of general wording is sufficient, that's fine, but I know the athletic director and the high school principal is working on updates to that. I just feel it should be more succinctly clarified, but I'll leave it to the rest of the
Yeah,
committee.
I think what it is that when we have any school volunteers, the school volunteers get the check through links. Whether the school volunteers are for athletics, whether they're for the PTO, whether they're for a field trip, it's links that makes sure that they're the organization that makes sure that everyone has a background check. Mrs. Avanzato.
I would just suggest that as we move forward with the sports issues, that be clarified first in that group, and then maybe we can add it as a provision to this policy if you think, if it's thought at that point that we need to really clarify and make sure that it's covered.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of ensure that distinction, and again, there may be other smaller things that I'm not thinking of too, but, you know, just want to raise that attention.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to approve IJOC-R?
So moved. Second?
Is there any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right, that brings us to planning for 2013-2014 school year. Mr. Cerisi.
Yes, just under this agenda item, I'd like to make a motion that the we can certainly. the motion would be for the, and I fully expect to have some conversation and discussion on this after the motion. I just wanted to put a motion on the table to shape the discussion first. That the school committee instruct the administration to delay hiring any employee or contracting for any services pertaining to the $10,000 grant that the committee previously voted to accept from RIDE in order to do a study regarding the possible implementation of full-day K.
I would second that.
Mr. Streese, you have the floor. Why don't you explain what you're looking for?
Yeah, I think that the committee previously voted to accept this grant from RIDE and instruct the administration to go forward with that planning. And if my memory serves me correct, I supported that motion as well. I think that there's just some questions and concerns that have been raised by myself and other committee members regarding the process or procedure to make sure that we are functioning within the bounds of the legal requirements of awarding the position or the contract. So I think that the committee will need some more time to discuss that with the administration and with legal counsel as well to make sure that we are awarding that position or contract and spending those funds as required by law. So I would ask that we would we direct the administration to delay going forward with awarding that position or awarding any contract, and that would be funded from that $10,000 grant until the committee has more of an opportunity to discuss this with the administration and legal counsel. And I hope that we would have this on our next meeting agenda and have all our questions answered and process in place so we can approve moving forward with the next step in this process. This does not mean we're not going to accept the grant. We've already taken a vote as a committee, which I believe passed unanimously, to accept that grant. What it simply means is that we are not approving taking that next step of hiring or contracting with anyone until the committee has had more of an opportunity to discuss that process.
Dr. Jicd.
I'll be happy to do whatever the committee would wish in this regard. I just want people to know that we're looking at sending this application to RIDE. It is due tomorrow. So in delaying, I don't know. I will ask, but I don't know if that means that we're going to have to forego this grant for now.
There's nothing that the committee is requesting at this time that stops you from moving forward with that application. We are simply saying that...
Okay, I just don't know, once we've applied with a name on there, and if the committee decides that they're not comfortable with that we're going to be able to turn that around. This is the first I hear of this, so
One of the things
just giving you my honest response.
One of the things we could do is we could always ask Dr. Jicd to work with our attorney before he turns in that grant to make sure that everything is followed legally. That would be a better resource for the committee. And then we could still make sure that, or at least not make sure, but we could be following along the lines of the grant, as well as making sure that our attorney receives the process.
I think, we continually run into this 5 minutes to midnight scenario over and over again. So, no. You know what? If we didn't, there's nothing, and I'm looking at legal counsel, I don't think there's any action that the committee has already voted to accept the grant. And the committee has already notified RIDE that we will accept the grant, that we will be applying for the grant. We don't have to, I don't know of any requirement that we have to attach a name of the person who's going to be fulfilling that role.
I think one of the, and I don't have the exact dates, but I believe that one of the deliverables, and I don't know if it's due tomorrow with the grant If not, it's definitely due by the end of May, because there are several deliverables phased in, which would be the person that's going to be doing the work and the actual budget and the plan for it. So we do need to check that, because those are part of the deliverables of the grant. So I don't have that in front of me, I'm sorry, but it's at least by the end of May. If it's not tomorrow, it might be tomorrow as well.
Mrs. Avanzado?
I support what Mr. Cerisi is saying. I don't know whether there's a requirement to actually have a name by tomorrow, but as well as having some feedback from council, I think the committee having feedback with the superintendent on the matter would be preferable. And it looks like we may have a little bit of time. I could be wrong on that. I don't know.
I can double check that. No, do you have it? Oh, here we go. Oh, good. Michelle was able to pull it up.
Oh, great.
It says here that the deliverables by May provide name and evidence of hire of qualified individuals to develop district full-day kindergarten implementation plan. And then the next one due by the end of June is provide a work plan and a timeline. So
Hey, what?
it says by May to June. It's a little vague.
Oh, so okay.
So the actual grant application itself is due tomorrow. And we had a couple of questions for RIDE that are outstanding on that. And then the next deliverable is the name and evidence of hire of qualified individual. So we should be okay.
We might
So
be
the
able to
name
wait a
would be
little bit
fine.
on that.
So the person is, we don't have to have a name tomorrow.
No.
We could revisit it at the next meeting.
Okay, that would be great.
So that's the motion that I have on the table. I'm not sure if it received a second or not.
It did.
Yes, I second.
It did. It's received a second.
I would concur with Mr. Cerisi. We don't need to, especially now since we've learned that the timeline's a little bit more extended than we were led to believe earlier, that we can do this in the proper fashion. We can put it out, advertise it, talk to different people, and agree as opposed to hurrying up and stuffing something through just to get it through.
Are there any other comments? All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to the Mr. Cerisi.
And just one other topic on this agenda item, as far as planning.
I'm sorry, yes, I remembered Mr. Jones wanted to bring up some planning issues.
I just had one question as far as our planning for the 14-15 school year. It may not be accurate, but I'm just looking from either the superintendent or from Mrs. King. Are there preliminary discussions or plans as far as some type of implementation of air conditioning on the third floor of the high school for an individual area or office?
No.
The reason I asked that question is because my memory serves me correct, we're in the middle of, still in the middle of that study for the HVAC and waiting to put all that together.
Right, and we'll actually have the cost estimates on that at the end of May. The only thing that we would run into is if there is an employee that has a health issue or whatnot, they would need to bring in a doctor's note, and they would need air conditioning in their room, and that could be any floor at all. So, and I do have a couple of those that have just come out. Unfortunately, that's, Mrs. Carroll can comment on that, that's in our law.
That's not so much my concern as far as any individual or any employee or any area. My bigger concern is not doing anything that's going to hamper or interfere with the study that
And we're very aware of that. We're very aware of that.
Okay. I just want to, I know historically the HVAC and the temperature in the high school, especially on the third floor, has always been an area of concern, and we've tried to do these patchwork things over years because of the lack of funding to address it, and none of those things have been adequate. So I just don't want to do anything to interfere with that overall study and hopefully sometime in the near future, a resolution to that problem. So, thank you.
Mr. Bescard.
Just as a kind of an opportunity to advertise. Ms. King, when is the next facility subcommittee for anybody that's interested in attending?
The next committee meeting is May 15th at 4 o'clock in the administration building. We will be focusing primarily on discussing the bids and proposals that are received for the replacement of the Fishing Cove boiler. So that's what we're going to focus that on. And the goal is to bring that to the school committee with the facility subcommittee's recommendation at our May 27th meeting so that we can get moving on that.
Thank you.
We would probably schedule another one very soon after that when we get the cost estimates for the high school HVAC, because those are due at the end of May.
All right, the other reason this is on, or the planning for the 2015-20 or 14-15 school year, is that one of the things we had talked about in a prior, under new business, was having some sort of planning for the coming school year before Dr. Auger gives us his goals. And so one of the things that we had talked about before was that having some sort of a planning session is what we had talked about last summer, which we didn't get around to taking any action on. Mr. Jones has said that he had thought about planning subcommittee, but we've talked about also having the full committee do some planning and setting up some goals for our committee, and then those would trickle down to Dr. Auger. So I was wondering if the school committee wanted to propose something either for the end of June to do some planning or the beginning of August, since we normally take off in July, and prior to Dr. Auger giving us his goals. And if you would like to do something, it's the sort of thing we can start discussing that, and we can ask Lorene to figure out some dates that would be good for folks. Is that the direction that the committee would like to go? Mr. Buskard, and I see you shaking your head.
Yes, I think either month that you mentioned. I know there's an aversion of everybody meeting, for everybody getting together in July. I'm not that averted to it, but if we can't agree on July, then definitely June or August, at least. I would say even at least one of each in each month. I mean, to really nail things down and make sure everybody's comfortable with the program. Every Saturday in the summer from 9 to 4. 9 to 4, and you can bring refreshments.
Okay, at the golf course.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I would concur with Mr. Buskard's point that I think, the superintendent has a timeline to develop his, and also, this is our district strategic plan ends in 2015. So I think if we're going to give some kind of high-level vision or other sort of planning items to the superintendent, it would be best served to give that sooner rather than later to him, so he has time over the summer as he thinks about the planning process and his own goals to incorporate those. I concur that maybe in August we could refine them, but I think we need to at least have some broad set of goals in June so the superintendent can have something to work with.
I agree.
Agree.
Okay,
sorry. Mr. Cerisi asked me a question about my jacket, and I was distracted. I apologize to the committee. I should not have done that.
Are we looking for...
I wouldn't be looking for a time right now because I know that that would be hard for us all to coordinate our dates. So what I would say is I'll ask Lorene to send out to the committee a couple of dates. What I guess I would say is, would the committee prefer to do something during a weekday, or would you prefer something like on a Saturday?
Weekday.
That was very quick. Yes.
I was just going to make a suggestion that we do it the way we've done some informal kind of workshop type meetings in the past, like at the admin building, in a small room, not as formal.
Right. We always have to advertise it because we are a public body, But the last time we did something like this, we did do it in the school committee room over at the admin building. And that's even a nicer room than it was when we met there last time. So we could do that, and like I said, we'd still have to open it up to the public because we're governed by state law. But at the same time, it would be a much more informal setting. And my preference would be that we would still have somebody there taking notes, but we aren't required by law to televise that. And that would also cut down on the cost of the meetings if we're adding one. So,
Are we going to discuss how many meetings we want at this point, or?
Why don't I start having Lorene see what a date is, and we can tentatively pick 2, and then it's from there, then we can set those up and figure out how that will work. Does that sound good? Because we can do that over email, setting up dates of meeting, and then we could figure out if we wanted this to be something that was done right after work, or and if we want to pick up food and that sort of thing. Last time we met, I had gotten food for the committee. I did happen to ask Mary King in an email if there was any budget that if we got sandwiches from Dave's or something like that.
And here's the deal. If I don't have to be at the meeting, I think you can get a couple of sandwiches. You might have to share 2 amongst yourselves. But
I'll gladly buy pizza just so you're there.
So my question to the committee is, should that be how we proceed?
yes.
Okay. I don't think we need to take a vote on that or anything. I just wanted to make sure that was the consensus of the committee. All right. Is there anything else under 2014-15 school year? Mr. Jones.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up to the presentation we had before on the business education partnership, and the follow-up questions I had with legal counsel and the administration. And I would concur with the suggestion that Mr. Cerisi had, that we clarify how we are going to fulfill that functionality in the next school year. And I would make a motion that directs the superintendent to confer with our legal counsel and come back at the next meeting with a proposed course of action on how we will, assuming it gets resourced, fulfill the functionality that is intended by that position or contract for the next school year.
Second.
Discussion.
No need for discussion.
All right. There is no further discussion. We have a motion on the table and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right. Is there anything else under planning for the 2014-15 school year? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, man.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.